really starting to like this go-karting thing.
Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, can I show you this cute dress I just got?
Yes, of course. Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
I just love shopping.
I love shopping too.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, did you guys say you like shopping?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Well, dude, I have the perfect place to do that at. ShopPayCara.com. At ShopPayCara.com, you can get free shipping on orders $200 or more. You can get anything you want, like MXC rims, gloves, rib vests, shoes, anything that you need, all at ShopPayCara.com.
Who is he talking to?
No idea.
But we're gonna have to check it out. Sounds like a great deal.
Sure does.
food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
Yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and zero sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Paulie Massimino wins the Wisconsin Grand Prix! James Overbeck on start number 2 gets win number 1 in OKN Stars!
On track or off, Brandon Jarskrek Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarskrek, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarskrekRacing.com.
Carts have been released for the last chance qualifier for Senior Light presented by CKT. 4 starting spots remain for the grand final in CKT Senior Light, Justin. 10 laps on the board for drivers to try and race their way in, and there will be 4 that start in those spots. Here's your lineup. David Barnes and Adam Cave, first 2 of this group that start inside the transfer window. Tyler DeRosiers and Max Francescelli, last driver on the inside of the starting window ahead of Joseph Hewitt and Tristan Altman on row 3. They start first 2 on the outside looking in.
Bobby Brick alongside Austin Hill starts off in row number 4. Samuel Gow in row 5 with Austin Speck. Then Jaden Newson and Ethan Gray amongst your top 12 starters here in this LCQ.
Cale Zimmerman won a heat race amongst the senior classes yesterday. However, he starts in 13th on this LCQ for Senior Light. Keep an eye on the number 5 VLR. Pierre-Edouard Cholet starts on his outside. Logan Ploder and Tanner DeMaster back on row 8. Tyson Sturr and Logan Upton on row 9. Ben Lawrence and Jamie Stropko, the 4th, back on row number 10, and it doesn't stop there, folks. There was a massive turnout, as always, for the CKNA Grand Nationals. In total, 29 drivers back to Caleb Jarvis Comey are trying to fight their way into the main dance later today. For 4 drivers, the CKNA Grand Nationals will continue after these 10 laps. Unfortunately for 25 of them, their road to Grand Nationals glory will end with the checkers from Jason. Here we go. For the first time today, we go racing from Grand Final Sunday. It's CKT Senior Light's last chance qualifier. Let's bring the rumble down to turn 1. Couple drivers off, 3, 4 carts, 5 carts, 1 all the way up and over the berm into the scale line. Big contact over at turn number 4 on this first lap. And just like that, we've got a handful gone. David Barnes away early with the lead, as there goes Cale Zimmerman in the bright blue number 5 VLR. Easy to spot with a white suit as well here on Grand Final Sunday. Couple spots made up already for Cale as he tries to fight his way above that red cut line. But Barnes leads back to K. DeRosiers with a decent start. Tristan Altman now moving up on the Pro Kart Concepts OTK. He's up 2 and looks to be in that final transfer spot as they run.
Yeah, but for how long is the question with a few of those drivers we just mentioned being so quick. There's so much pressure just to be able to try and get into this top 4 because you don't want to end up going home early at this point. You want to be able to have an opportunity to race out the full day. And right now, a majority of these drivers starting to coil up to the rear end of Altman, try and gather up some speed here. Still, Zimmerman's still the one to watch here. We'll have to see if he's able to start carving up some of these carts here as the top 3 start to break away.
That means, again, there's only one spot in that 5 or 6 car group that's up for grabs if the 3 leaders do work together. But that was a good run through turn 5 for Tristan Altman. He'll connect the dots, and we're up to about 7 or 8 deep here in the main pack. Move in the middle of it. That is Austin Speck down the inside, and Cale Zimmerman's going to pick up 2 more out of it. He might be able to bring a driver along with him. That is going to be Logan Ploder in the 321 trying to follow the VLR. They've moved now into 5th and 6th. First 2 drivers on the outside looking in as Altman closes up to the main pack, headed into the infield hairpin.
Yeah, nicely done to be able to slip on through for Zimmerman at this point. First one out, now working with the VAP machine. But Zimmerman, a bold move to the shark fin, had a huge run, goes for a surprise pass, and now Zimmerman is amongst that top 4 with that move. You don't expect someone to send it that aggressively into 15 around here.
So now Cale Zimmerman jumps above the cut line. Tristan Altman, first driver on the outside looking in. He had just caught the leaders, but there's still plenty of time to go in this LCQ. He could make up some spots and get himself back into the big show. David Barnes trying to get away to the best of his ability. He's going to get a bit of help here as they fight for second. Look down the inside of Max Francescelli. And Adam Kay is not going to give it to him. Cale Zimmerman will try to follow through to third. Lots of contact back and forth through the horseshoe. Zimmerman now on the outside. Altman will cut him a break, and now Zimmerman with a crossover on Francescelli to move him up to third. And Max falls back to that hot seat. Fourth on the racetrack as the leader, David Barnes, continues to get away. Here's Tristan Altman now looking to get by for the transfer spot. And the PKC OTK moves back up to fourth.
Yeah, some of these drivers fighting very hard just to be able to hold on to the top three alone. We've seen some of the signals of drivers want to work back and forth here, but Ploder in fourth now with this situation, looking to see if they can regather things together. And look, right now we see Logan Ploder show some competitive speed, has been amongst the top 15, top 10 in some of the heats throughout the day, yesterday in particular, but just didn't have the finishing spots to be able to score the points to move on in senior light. I think Ploder is going to be a tough one to be able to pass with how things are going, and we know the racecraft of the Canadian is really strong from that 321.
A couple of big movers further back that are hoping for more action here in this transfer zone. How about Bobby Krug in the number 77? Went to the wayside and has now climbed his way back to the edge of the top 15, but just ahead of him, Jordan Klein in the 716. The young lady started 26. She's up to P12 and still charging, trying to get that PPK Coyote into the big show here in senior light. She still has another handful of go-karts to go to get towards that transfer window. Ploder now looking to the inside of Adam Kay. This is going to be for third. That's going to open the door for Altman to get back into the transfer window. Side by side to the shark fin as they make contact. Kay hangs on. Crossover by Altman. He'll run out of momentum. And now here comes Austin Speck again. And then Francescelli gets new life as well as they rocket down the front stretch. 4 laps complete, 6 laps to go. Cale Zimmerman and David Barnes look safe and away out in front, starting to build a bit of a gap back to Logan Ploder. And Ploder himself another half second back to fourth, onto around maybe 10th, going all the way to Joseph Hewitt and Austin Hill.
Remember, some of these drivers have been having to work through some of the marble build down from last night's Out of the Box challenge because they took the kid car course, which bruised some of the dirt and some of the marbles and the racing line into turn 3. Seen some of that spark up a bit with some of the drivers taking that a little more careful here this morning. Speck amongst those, getting shuffled and trying to be the one able to block off some of this pressure. But some of these competitors back here are costing themselves a lot of time by not being able to clear by these spots as fast as they need to, with the top 4 being as comfortable as they seem to be going amongst some of these packs, and some of these other drivers just cutting the grass trying to hold on.
That was the 351 machine of Max Francescelli. Mind you, again, Max started in fourth in the final spot inside the transfer window. He's now fallen well back in the pack. Cross flags, halfway in, halfway to go. Logan Ploder, about a half second back to the fight for fourth here between Adam Kay and Tristan Altman. Then Austin Speck, Tyler Rogers, Austin Hill has gone by teammate Joseph Hewitt, and Jordan Klein has now moved up and into the top 10. She's less than a second and a half away from the transfer zone. Still digging. There she is right there in the black and white helmet and the black and red suit. The 216 to the back of the main pack, fighting for the final couple spots. She's got teammates ahead here. Hill and Hewitt running through the cell tower hairpin, but biggest mover by far, 26th of the 29 starters is where Jordan Klein rolled off. And she's now picked off 16 of them. 6 more to go to get into the main event.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be very difficult to do over the course of the next 5 laps to be able to get through all this traffic. A bit of contact meanwhile. Sees the 211. Okay, getting kicked around. Altman trying to force the issue. Here we found a way around.
That was an argument right there, right in front of us, Justin. Tristan Altman tapped the helmet, said, let's work together. And Adam Kay said, well, you just bumped me out of the way and pull alongside. What do you mean work together? This isn't helping. And it's now brought Austin Speck and Tyler DeRosiers back into conversation, although Speck fell back a good bit that lap. It's DeRosiers and Austin Hill that now make it 4 deep in this grouping. And Jordan Klein, through that lap, was not only able to get by Speck, she also got by Joseph Hewitt. That was another 2 spots. Jordan Klein clicking off times as fast as 3rd on the racetrack, if not a little better than Logan Ploder. Cale Zimmerman and David Barnes are the fastest 2, but then it's this group that's got a lot of fast cars in the middle of it. Austin Hill with a move in the 39. That'll pick up a spot for 6th on Tyler DeRosiers. Klein was trying to go through as well. Let's see if she did. I don't believe she was able to make it. No, she did. Indeed, that's another one And the 716 continues the uphill climb. She's to 7th. Austin Hill is up to 6th. And this is still the spotlight right now. 4th on the racetrack is the final provisional spot into the main. Held currently by that red and black Carlos Sainz OTK of Adam Kay. Tristan Altman hot on his heels. And then 2 teammates working together, cutting up the top 10 right now with a lot of forward momentum. Austin Hill in the 39, Jordan Klein in the 716, 3 to go to try and get the final 4 spots in the main event later today in CKT Senior Light.
Yeah, some big separation is built up, mind you, between 3rd and 4th with all of this. So it's basically, if you want the spot, you've got to find a way around Kay. Quite simply, Altman, bit of a squeeze off the track there, gets pushed back into a battle. Here comes some of the drivers from PPK slipping on through. Amongst those going on through Hill. Hill now under attack quickly by Altman right back. Once again, side by side. This is exactly what Kay wanted to see to break up the pressure from the back bumper of his kart.
Jordan Klein now moves past her teammate, and that's brought a whole lot of go-karts into it. Can this incredible drive continue? Here we go to the infield hairpin. Klein had a look. A bit of a cover there by the 08 of Tristan Altman. Now he gets a little separation to focus back forward. And as shown there by the hand signal, he knows he's got to drive back up to Adam Kay. There's only going to be 2 laps left. They can't get trapped fighting for 5th too much now. 2 to go. Ploder looks to be well safe out in front of the main group as they push down the front stretch. Double sticks from Jason Burgess. A long train of go-karts trying to hunt back up to the 211.
Yeah, that's easier said than done right now with the gap already being 5 kart lengths. They're working as hard as they can to try and have some competition, knowing they are going to have to try and fight each other just to be able to get that transfer spot. Great job by Klein to push Altman right back into the draft and right back into the picture for Kay. But now, where do things go from here amongst some of the squabbling? Altman's already trying to set it 2 to 3 times for this transfer spot. This time, a little bit of contact again, a little bit of a slide. Klein slides through, Altman into the transfer.
Tristan Altman through. Now it's block like your life depends on it if you're the number 08. Pro Kart Concepts entry. Jordan Klein now up to 5th. 21 spots picked up for the Coyote driver. Adam Kay is still not out of the frame here. Back in that Carlos Sainz OTK into 6th. Unfortunately for Austin Hill, he got shuffled back to the 8th spot. The top 3 are still well and away. Klein with a run down the front stretch. White flag, 1 to go. Jordan Klein, can she make it from 26th as she moves into the transfer window?
She had to take it early because that might have been the best opportunity with the way things have shaped up. Great job to get the pole, and now all of a sudden, Kay is getting swarmed by the pack 2-3 wide.
Final time to the horseshoe. Big off moment there for one driver in the middle of the field, and a spin into the horseshoe. It'll take out 2 or 3 more. One all the way up and onto the next section of racetrack as the leaders flurry by. Cale Zimmerman and David Barnes moving through. They will easily clinch 2 tickets to the big dance with the teamwork they've put on display. And Jordan Klein has just a couple more turns to go. She's frantically checking the gap over her shoulder. Tristan Altman is still there. So is Adam Kay. It'll be a run to the line, but she's had so much speed, it'll be tough for them to mount a counterattack. 2 turns to go. Barnes, out of the final turn now, is headed into the main event, as is Cale Zimmerman, as is Logan Ploder. And what a story to start Grand Nationals number 9. Jordan Klein from 26 transfers into the Senior Light main event with 4th. The final ticket to the big dance goes to the way of the 716. How about that, Justin?
How about that race? Absolutely. Klein played it perfectly to be able to close out. Played Altman to be able to take away that transfer spot coming to the final lap. Oh, by the way, your finish from between Zimmerman and Barnes, 5/1000ths of a second. It was a drag race at the line for the first spot to win the LCQ.
Congratulations, Cale Zimmerman. Maximizing that from 13th on the grid, up 12 spots. David Barnes started on the pole. He was the first driver out after the heat points were tallied. Ploder up from 15th, and Jordan Klein 26th to 4th. She races her way into the senior light main.
Good job. I mean,
Jordan, first of all, what a drive for you, 26th all the way to the transfer zone. Talk to me about the nerves this morning, right? Walked into the tent, you were looking at where you were starting. Tell me how this morning has been for you, and now gratifying feeling at the end, right, transferring.
Yeah, I was a little nervous to begin, but I mean, we've kind of had the speed all weekend, just keep getting, bad luck. But, I knew we could do it. Our kart's super fast. Kind of just played out my cards right, got a really good start, picked up a lot on the start, and then, on the last lap, passed him to going down the straight, kind of just defending for the rest. But, yeah, pulled it off.
Can we expect to see the same from you, that this passing clinic in the main event later on today?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. And even in medium, starting a little far back just because of our bad luck, but, hoping to make our way through the field just like we just did.
Well, hopefully you can get some better luck in the main events, Jordan. Congrats.
Thank you.
Great way to kick off the morning. Jordan Klein,
I should have gone down.
Tristan Altman. Clean fight
it's okay.
for the LCQ, and it's still far from official. There's always the chance of scales, post-race tech, and any penalties to be called. But as they race or finished on the racetrack, Cale Zimmerman, David Barnes, Logan Ploder, and from 26th, you just heard from her, Jordan Klein will be joining the senior light main event from P60 later today. We'll be back with 2 more LCQs after this. Juniors are on deck.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Florida Kart Racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
2 LCQs remain. LYK Jr. on track now. Liam Plate and Jordan Le Pen will start on the front row. Will Kreitz and Mason Ward back on row number 2. Final row starting inside the transfer window.
Joseph Wilson, the first outside the transfer window to start. Marcus Wolf alongside. Jimmy Stewing starting in 7th with Samuel Weir in 8th position. Then Batsinski and Beck amongst your top 10.
Then row number 6, starting 11th, Trevor Clinton from last night's Out of the Box Challenge, starting on the front row there. Back on row 6 here, Ryan Reyes, Sidney Miller, Cameron Conraith back on row 7. Randy Harvey and George Ma on row 8. Kellen Weiss, Joseph Vayette on row 9, and Nolan Wade and Cody Templar Compston on row 10. Here's the final few starters. Back to 27th, Ethan Langley, DeFrancisco, Hudman, Cataldo, Jarvis Comey, and Brokovich and Labrie. 10 laps. Junior, presented by LYK. On the gas, but not quite where we want them, headed down to turn at number 1. So Jason Burgess will send them for another start attempt over by the cut through at 3.
Yeah, might have been a straggler towards the back of the field here, so they'll get reset once again, but the pressure's definitely on just to be able to move on here. A lot of these drivers haven't been able to get the best of results here this weekend to be able to get points in the first place. So this is, for a lot of these drivers, an opportunity to shine and show that they do have some speed if you give them the chance to get to the front of the field. It's just a matter of how will they race each other in the midst of this LCQ over the course of the next 10 laps. So this field getting ready to head towards the tram lines here, all doubled up once again. It's going to be a bit of a slower pace compared to the first time. We've seen things a little bit more separated at the back of the pack. This time they're a little bit more compressed together.
Yeah, much slower second run out of I-70 for your pole sitter here, Liam Plate in the 85, black and red. Into the outside there in the new Gen Motorsports machine, Jordan Le Pen looking for the green from Jason on attempt number 2. This one looks good enough, it should get it. And there we go, Junior LCQ action underway. All good as they rocket out of turn number 4 and over to turn 5 for at least your pole sitter, but we've got one off. Left side of your screen, pushed around the middle of the pack, trying to get back on. That was Trevor Clinton in the GFC. He'll go all the way to the back of the field now and have to regroup over the next 9.5 laps. And we got 2 more spun around at the exit of the cell tower hairpin. One almost all the way by one of the race control camera setups.
Yeah, not going to have the caution to be able to help them, though. That's the thing. So they are now going to be well out of the chance to be able to move on as a result of those off tracks here. Top 3 seem to be working a bit together to break away, but 4th on back could get interesting. You have Wolf back there. You also have a lot of others swarming the back end of that 11 machine off the rip here, trying to find their way forward quickly to try and get to the transfer.
1 down, 9 to go. Let's see where they've shuffled after the first lap's complete. It's Marcus Wolf in the low-key racing Sodi that now has moved up the chain into the transfer spot. You can see that in the black and orange, right behind the top card of Mason Ward. Pressure right there from the deep plate there of Jamie Stewin in the OTK. And it's a 5-car train up front to begin this junior LCQ. Bit of contact for Samuel Warrior back in 6. You can see the bumper's definitely a bit askew. And then right on his heels, Bartosz Blazinski in the 717. But the top 4 here in juniors LCQ are just staying in lockstep, trying to get away, take their time. At this point, too, that's a smart play, right? You don't need to go battling for 3rd or 4th or the lead unless you really think the driver in front's significantly slower. And that's the case right now, it looks like, for 3rd. Marcus Wolf wants past Mason Ward. Will he get it? He won't before this lap comes to a close, and that's going to draw more drivers into the picture. Here comes Stewin, looking back from 5th, high and low to the last corner. It's really tough to make anything happen in that quick final sector without really sacrificing yourself for the long run down to the timing loop. 2 laps in the books. Liam Plate, Jordan Le Pen, already up to about 7/10 away from the field.
Yeah, and again, we're seeing a lot of these drivers finding some good tandeming up at the front of the field to be able to break away, just showcasing their speed once you give them some clean air compared to having to work in the heart of a pack. And that's making it where it's a little bit more different than before. A little bit of swamping going on potentially. Yes, indeed. Wolf tries to go for third and does. Ward gets shuffled out onto the bubble. And Ward going to have to feel the pressure here for the next little bit. We'll see if Swin is able to find a way to dive to the inside. No. So far, that deploy's just been considering time in and time out where to go, but hasn't been really in a position to actually send it yet. Hasn't been able to catch up at the right spots.
Check out further back here, that's the 717 machine. The white and yellow colors of Basinski back and forth. With 2 laps in the books, who's picked up the most? 7 spots up for Randy Harvey from 15th on the grid, trying to get some more down the front stretch with help pushing Basinski. And I think he was able to get by Samuel Warrier, which now would move Harvey up a grand total of 8 spots. Kellen Weiss started 17th in the 96. Kellen's already up into the 9th position, closing in on this main group as well. Is there another momentous run from deep in the field for one of the black and red Coyote machines? Or will we see a news story here? How about an outside-inside look on the MGM for the 96 of Kellen? Up 8 spots already, but still a good bit below the cut line, as we can see here, folks.
Yeah, still a bit of separation building at the point right now as several of the air drivers losing a ton of ground. We have caution flags waving up over in scoreboard, as didn't see too many of the off tracks there, but will say this top 4 has built up. 5th on back has really built a buffer.
Side by side down the main straight for the 96. Looking for another move, not quite there on Basinski. Can Kellen Weiss keep the good vibes going? Randy Harvey already is up to 5th. Again, on the outside looking in. About a half-second gap to try and track down Jamie Stewart in the 227. And right here, that is the 621 is Samuel Warrier, who's just kind of floated through the main pack, up and down. Marcus Wolf started 6th, by the way, in the number 11, and now has taken over on the low-key Sodi out in front of the junior LCQ field. No one really standing out too much in terms of raw speed. They all seem pretty evenly matched down the board. Jamie Stewart had a good lap last time around, and he's taken advantage of Mason Ward on this lap to get to 3rd. And that's allowed Randy Harvey to get a little bit closer to the back of the transfer window. So you've got your top 4, almost top 5. Little gap to 6th, then 7th. Then that group there of about 4 of them fighting inside and outside the top 10. Kellen Weiss, Ben Beck, Sidney Miller, and Ryan Rea. But they are really tightening up here as we approach halfway. 5 laps complete, 5 to go this time by. Marcus Wolf in the number 11 continues to lead over Jordan Le Pen for New Gen Motorsports. Down to turn number 1. Randy Harvey is up 10 positions there into the 5th spot, back of the train. How long does Randy wait before he puts the heat on with a move attempt on the top car to Mason Ward in the 813?
And last time by, Harvey was 8/10 quicker than the main pack. That is a lot of pace showcase just to be able to close in. Again, it's an RPPK Coyote that's been able to find its way into the thick of things here. Some of the drivers are feeling pressure to build some buffers. Again, Swin making some moves, shuffling by Le Pen. All while the battle for 4th is on. Ward having to defend, all while Harvey looks for a place to go. Will take it up in the green corner, side by side, makes a bit of contact, gets shuffled back.
That's gonna hurt, but he's had so much speed, he should be able to rebound from it pretty nicely. Let's see how long it takes him to get back to the top 4. It shouldn't be more than maybe a turn or 2, especially when they get tripped up like that. And there's an opportunity for Randy. He just couldn't quite capitalize on how quickly the track goes back and forth. into the final 3 turns, 16, 17, and 18. And that's now going to get a bit of new life breathed into the 621 as Samuel Warrier as he closes back up to the end of the top 5. Fight for 4th rages on, 4 laps to go. Kellen Weiss has finally gotten away from the massive group. Deeper in the pack, he's up to 7th. 10 spots for the 96 blue and black MGM. He's got the yellow visor strip, easy to spot there, back of the frame, as now Randy makes the move for 4th. To the inside of Mason Ward. Nicely done in turn 6. Puts the 455 inside the transfer window. Battling up front, even for the lead. Here comes Jamie Stewin, looking to the inside of Marcus Wolf. First challenge for the top spot in a moment. Wolf out of shape there, out of the kink. And Jordan LePen will go back 2 spots. Now make a crossover on Mason Ward. And the fight is on again for 4th. Randy Harvey now safe and away in 3rd as they go to the infield hairpin side by side. Here comes Samuel Warrier as well. LePen now to the outside of the cut line. Mason Ward is back in. 3 to go at the line. And it's Jamie Stewin for CanCam Racing in the 227 that leads out of turn 18.
Along with how things have gone with Wolf in the pace showcase in the low-K racing machine here, all while with this sees LePen losing a ton of ground here. LePen on the back foot. Warrior seems to be on the front foot, trying to run forward with the way things are shaping up. Again, that top 3 have broken away. So if you want a transfer spot, you've got to find your way around a blue cart. That seems to be the trend here today with how things have shaped out when it comes to some of these battles up in the front.
Randy Harvey, just like Jordan Klein, one of the many rising stars and young female talents here at the CKNA Grand Nationals. Randy now well into 3rd. Big battle here for 4th. Side by side to the kink there. Back and forth for Mason Ward and Jordan LePen. And now Samuel Warrier and Kellen Weiss slip through. Back goes LePen. A couple spots removed from the transfer line now. The top 3 have a huge gap. If they just work together for 2 more laps, no matter the order, they're all going to get a shot to go and race in the main event for Junior. And the fight is on. Mason Ward holding that final ticket to the grand final, the 60th and last starting spot, but we're going to race for the lead regardless. Here comes Marcus Wolf with a look to the inside. Jamie Stewin didn't want to let him through, drove him down a little bit. Still clean enough up front. That shouldn't hurt them too much. Hadn't seen the black and checkers or the black and white flag yet today. And that's, of course, bad news for this group here because that means only 1 spot and there's 4 of them packed up. They're trying to work together to get back to the leaders or at least maybe break away. Kellen Weiss already up to the 7th spot. Now to 6, having gone by Jordan LePen. 2 more spots for Kellen to drive from 17th on that MGM into the main event. Side by side for the transfer spot here. Mason Ward goes wide. Here comes Warrier. Here comes Kellen to the inside to get 5th. Not quite to the green turn. They're going to go wheel to wheel there. Ward trying to hang tough, nearly 3 wide. Kellen will hang on. To the infield hairpin we go. And it is now Samuel Warrier back in the show. Kellen Weiss trying to get there. Way back in the grid. 17th on the starting lineup. Now into the top 5 for Kellen Weiss in the 96. 1 more lap. 1 more spot. Can he get it? Can he race his way in? Up the road. Harvey, Wolf, Stewin, still battling for the race win. Wolf around the outside in turns 1 and 2. Sketchy stuff, racing for the top spot in the LCQ. And Marcus will get it by turn 3.
Again, all of them fighting, trying to make sure they just be able to get a race win out of the day here today. Not done yet. Stewin and Erickson up for the point. Takes it away from Wolf. All while everyone now pounds the back end of Warrior, getting some contact from behind. Here comes the 96. Weiss going for a cross. Instead, the crossover taken by Ward into the space. Everyone trying to find a way around the Canadian as quick as possible. Ward going for an air bump, coming to green corner. Warrior going for a defensive move. Tries to hug the inside of these corners. Scoreboard going to have to be an aggressive defense as well.
Final time, final couple of passing opportunities. Samuel Warrior hanging on for dear life here for that final transfer spot as the race for the race win is on. Mason Ward with a send into the shark fin. Off goes Warrior. Here comes Kellen Weiss alongside. Hanging tough into the grass. Jordan Le Pen gets by them and gets turned. Weiss to the line. We go. It is going to be Jamie Stewin with the win over Wolf and Company. And to the checkers, Ben Beck. Ben Beck in the 111 was nowhere near that 4-car pack to start the final lap. Jordan Le Pen, 500 feet away, and he was 4th. He had just gotten back into that transfer window and instead ends up spun down by the pond along the main straightaway. A heartbreaking end to Grand Nationals number 9 for Jordan. A phenomenal drive through the pack by young Randy Harvey. She was able to pick up 12 positions to get to P3. Marcus Wolf and Jamie Stewin, first 2 drivers starting outside. They get inside. Ben Beck, what a steal to get that 4th and final transfer spot. And here's the rest of your junior LCQ. Caleb Vieska will be down on pit lane here, giving us a bit of an update in a few moments. Actually, he's ready now. Let's go to him. Caleb, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Xander. I want to show you guys at home, right, the extensive field that we have. This field absolutely stacked in senior medium with 40 plus getting ready to take the green flag to try and transfer in to the main event later on today. Let's start here on row number 2. Bryce Frank, Texas Sprint Racing Series champion, starting in 4th. He is in this LCQ, and you got to move back as well to last year's CKNA Grand National champion in junior, the 64 of Cade Yeager, starting deep into this field, starting 12th on that outside line. A lot of drivers have talked about, the hectic starts that we've had here. Cade Yeager, a driver to look out for to work his way in. How about as well, Summer Nationals pole sitter in senior light, Addison Ianello, working her way through the field. She's starting 16th, and then again, one driver up front, not going to be joining us, so everybody has moved up. And then we go here further back as well. Cameron Reed, starting on the outside in 20th. She's dug in this field, last year's Out of the Box Challenge winner, and again, she joined us yesterday for the Out of the Box Challenge. We wish Cameron the best luck as she gets going. And one of the biggest stories as well, Ian Quinn did not hit the racetrack for heat race number 3. He's all the way in the back. He's going to find himself down in 41st here in the race. And again, Ian Quinn has come across the line here at the Grand Nationals in 1st after post-race penalties. It didn't stick, but he's all the way back there. And this field, 7 drivers total here. Xander, back to you guys.
Yeah, Ian Quinn was a part of the massive melee that we witnessed in senior medium second round of heats, Justin. Things kind of got out of hand a bit. There were a lot of official penalties handed down, and it's affected some, but even beyond that, there was a lot of attrition in those heat races. That's why there's so many all-stars in this last chance qualifier fighting for the final 4 spots. You never want to give up. You want to keep on fighting. Justin Wishart, a former Grand Nats champ, starts 43rd on the lineup. Right back there with Quinn, potentially in 42nd. And there's been others that have seen the front of the pack in one of their senior classes if they've been in both, but they maybe haven't had the best of luck. Austin Hill was fighting to get into the transfer zone in the senior light LCQ. He starts 20th back there alongside Cammie Feister in row number 10. Long way to go forward for Austin compared to where he had in that senior light last chance qualifier. But the biggest class on the weekend, senior medium, they'll run last on the running order, 9th of 9 in our main events later today. And 48 drivers are fighting for 4 positions, spots 57 through 60 on the grand final grid. 44 of them will see their grand finals hopes dashed by the checkered flag in 10 laps. Steel Motorsports Senior Medium has quite a few others in the lineup of among that 48 that are definitely worth talking about, Justin. There's Brady Eichhoff, of course, one of the first drivers starting inside the cut zone. He's had some speed. Scott Clayman, we mentioned. Nicholas Capolongo. Can you imagine here being the first driver just outside that 56 cut, that 57th position ranking in the heat points, and then looking back, hearing Caleb talk about all the all-stars that are gunning for where you are?
Yeah, especially since in many of these cases, some of the drivers mentioned had at least one decent heat or at least decent speed for all the heats. It's just luck wasn't on some of their sides. I know Hunt's bulletin we were talking about a little bit was thinking, okay, maybe I could work with Ian Quinn in this race. And that was a discussion. Apparently that came out of B. So there is some potential plans you'd have to think for a lot of these drivers to coordinate to see, can we make our way through the pack as a group where I open up the lane and you drive on through and we then draft together after that point.
Let's go through the full grid as they head to the racetrack. Final last chance qualifier of the 9th running of the CKNA Grand Nationals presented by Odenthal Racing Products and Toyota GR Cup. Don't forget, folks, if you haven't already, with the ample time you've got today compared to the rack 'em up and run 'em heat races and the busyness of the first 3 days of the Grand Nationals, you can still go and check out and take a seat in the Toyota GR86 Cup car down on Vendor Row and get a pretty good vantage point of what should be a barn burner LCQ. Capilongo, Clayman, Brady Eichhoff, Zach Bohm, first 4 in. Bryce Frank, Dylan Callahan, and all MGM row 3. First 2 drivers outside looking to go to the transfer zone. Nathan Guerrero and Thomas Sharek, Colin Evans and Jed Perkins, your top 10 starters in Senior Mediums LCQ.
Jack Road alongside Tyson Sturr amongst those in the top 12. Cade Yeager, keep an eye on his speed from 13th. Mason Kuhn alongside him in 14th. Giovanni Benson and Riley Stasny down in 16th. Addison Ionello, she'll start alongside Jason Rothman, who's been around the mid-pack in the races this week. Then Feister and Hill amongst the top 20.
Final look down the grid here as we are already set to go green. And here it is for the Senior Medium LCQ. No, not on the first time by. Back around we go. Gives us a moment here at least to go through the rest of the lineup when they sort out. And we're missing one from the front.
Did hear Caleb mention that somebody wasn't going to take part. He didn't specifically say which of the carts though, so that will take a spot away and shuffle everybody up one spot in theory if that's the case.
Let's see if we can ID who we are missing from the Senior Medium last chance qualifier. It'll take it down to 47 as mentioned. Looks like Jed Perkins from 10th didn't cross the timing loop. A few others didn't cross the loop on that warm-up lap. We may be only at 38 in total back to Ian Quinn and Scotty Watkins. No sign of Jason Rothman, Kyle Byers, Justin Wishard, Jack Sutton, Matt Landers, and Ryan Miller. So might be missing more than a handful. Of Perkins was slated to start 10th, so that moves the outside lane up a little bit. Tyson Sturb goes up to the 10th spot. Mason Kuhn up. Let's take a look back at some of the further back starters with Rothman potentially not on the racetrack. That outside lane actually moves up quite a bit as well. And if so, it's good news for the likes of Cammy Feister, Cameron Reed, Dane Underwood, and crew. We're going to get ready to let them loose again. This time, attempt number 2 for the Senior Medium drivers to get their last chance qualifier underway, and then it's fully on to grand final main event mode for us. And for the drivers that have made it, here we go. Burgess has him at his command, and he likes it on this time. We're green. Oh, and a couple off the rip, turned around down by turns 1 and 2.
Yep, already those chances done.
As they rumble down to turn number 5. Good start for Scott Clayman in the 92 Coyote. He gets away safely. So does Brady Eichhoff. Zach Bohm is back a little bit. It's Bryce Frank up into 3rd, now up into 2nd and charging on the MGM. He wants to get well and away from the rest of the pack and just cut his way to the lead as soon as possible. A few more got tripped up there coming out of turn number 8. That'll split them around 9th or so. Clayman in the bright red machine leads. That's the 558 of Guerrero now in the first spot inside the transfer zone. Addison Ionello, one of the drivers involved in the crash in the back. We've lost maybe 5 or 6 here on this opening lap, so a heartbreaker for one of the hometown racers, Addison Ionello. Looks like she may not be joining us for the Senior Medium main event later today. Whereas the rest of some of the All-Stars found themselves 2 more off. That looked to be Quinn potentially going wide in the shark fin. Cameron Reed we're hearing also involved. Penalty flags flying already. Guerrero to Bohm, Callahan, Evans, Mason Kuhn up a few spots. Austin Hill is up 11 off the first lap to 9th from 20th. Thomas Sharek to 10th. Dane Underwood from 24th to 11th. There's Hill going by. There is Thomas Sharek and Dane Underwood there, 10th and 11th. New leader, Bryce Frank to the point of the 17. Side by side for Scott Clayman and Brady Eichhoff. Eichhoff now alongside Frank. That's going to leave him back on the outside lane for turn 8. He'll lose the spot he just picked up and be potentially freight trained here on the run to the green corner. Clayman trying to get back inside the cut line. So is Zach Bowman, the 473 in the bright yellow machine. 2 by 2 coming out of the green turn. That's going to give a huge gap to the 2 leaders.
Yeah, once again, we've seen this story a few times today where the top 2 are able to tandem a little bit, but the draft either suctions you close up to be able to keep it a 4 or 5 kart battle, or we see the top 2 be able to break away because they're too busy battling for the transfer spots. But Bo just trying to hold on for now. More penalty flags fly. It looks like we may get the first point where it's going to close up again because you have back and forth with the leaders, and that's immediately close things back up for Clemens, who will be able to keep things tight in the 92 machine and keep as the bridge cart to keep everyone else up in the midst of the lead draft.
2 laps in the books, 8 laps to go in the senior medium LCQ presented by Steel Motorsports. Nathan Guerrero's one move to go back to the lead has brought everyone back into the mix. Bryce Frank now under pressure for second as Scott Clayman climbs back up the board. The original outside front row starter, inside front row starter of the 92 is Scott Clayman. Look at Austin Hill continuing to march forward. This is on Brady Eichhoff. Feeds him a little bit of a wheel, trying to clear himself at the end of that green hairpin. Now to the infield corner. He'll go with help from the VLR, Thomas Sharek, the black and orange Bobby Krug Racing Services machine. Picking up another one.
I was about to say, had talked with Bobby earlier on yesterday, actually, during one of the breaks. He had mentioned that their team had learned previously through the senior light. Their karts had been loose during the heat races, adjust them for the medium. Seems like the adjustments are working out pretty well for their drivers now in this race. It's the question of, can they now get to the transfer spots in once those Bobby Krug machines in the midst of this pack right now. All of these drivers, though, starting to battle for the transfer against them side by side up the road for fourth, it looked like.
It was. That's Hill alongside of Brady Eichhoff now. And we've got another one off. Oh man, is that one of our contenders? That's Zach Bohm. Zach Bohm in the 473 spun at the entry to turn 5. What happened there? They were side by side, as you called it. Another one into the dirt and spun around. That's the 217 of Dylan Callahan from 9th last time. Cade Yeager, by the way, we mentioned him earlier. Big time performance in junior last year. The luck has not been there on his senior medium debut, but he is starting to make some moves to get closer, to change the script a bit, to at least be on the grid for the grand final and see how many spots he can pick up from 57th through 60th. He's now well inside the top 10. Not the greatest of starts for Cade Yeager. Penalty flags flying again. The 64, where does he find himself at the end of this lap? On the bumper of his teammate Austin Hill in 7th. Jonah Good started 29th. He's the next car in line in the white helmet, the 133 GFC machine. Up 21 spots by the end of lap number 4.
That's an absolute rocket of power through the pack so far, to say the very least. We haven't talked about Jonah Good at all this weekend so far. Jonah Good, one of the drivers that's fought for wins throughout the year, has competed in all-star race competition, for example, in the respective karting championships, and now seems to be one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now, trying to slice and dice as they continue to slice and dice for second now.
Bryce Frank now going back up to P2 as the 558 of Nathan Guerrero gets shuffled back to second, back to third, side by side for fourth. Cade Yeager alongside him. Contact as one driver got pushed up in the air, squashed in the middle. That was Eichhoff. Jonah Good to the outside, 2 by 2 out of the shark fin. He'll get some momentum to get back to single file action, and it's Nathan Guerrero now deep away from the transfer zone.
Yeah, absolute craziness building up here as they give some warning flags out here with
basically
the
the whole pack. That's what he's saying right there. He's waving to all of them.
Yeah, at this point, it's just becoming that aggressive once again. It's like the use your head signal we seen yesterday, with everybody getting a little bit chippy for these transfers. It's what you would expect with how things are going here.
When we talk about drives from the back of the field, Cade Yeager didn't start too far back. He started 13th. He's up towards the top 5. Jonah Good up from 29th here, now working on the back of Brady Eichhoff. Going to send it into the cell tower and make a clean move there. Oh, and they caught bumpers, and Eichhoff goes around. Brady Eichhoff trying to just get back into line. The left front of his bumper hooked on the right rear of Jonah Good's. It sent Good back a few spots as they were stuck together. And that has brought the rest of the pack close, and the drivers further back that are moving. Ian Quinn from 42nd is now up to 15th in the number 79 Mark Steel Motorsports entry. One of the Bobby Krug machines is off. Believe that may have been Shrek in the 590. He had just picked up a few that lap. That's another spot. Oh no! Big pirouette in the shark fin. 2 drivers together. The 414 of Clay Robbins collected. That might be Anthony Bassett in the 715, but we'll confirm. Indeed, Robbins and Bassett out in the infield. Quinn up to 12th now, working the back of Ryan Mort on that MPG Kart Republic, ahead of him in 11th. 3 seconds away from the leaders, 2 seconds away from the transfer zone. The leaders are fighting now. Yeager to the inside for 3rd. He's well inside the window. It is now a different Bobby Krug machine inside the cut zone. That's the 130 of Mason Kuhn. Bryce Frank now back to the hot seat in 4th.
Yeah, right now their cushion seems to be pretty comfortable, but for how long? If they battle a little bit more harder next time or in the next couple laps, things could change. All while Guerrero getting a little bit busy, is going to fight back and forth for the top 5, still out of the transfer spots. They're costing themselves a lot of important time here, Xander, as more drivers clip the grass and backwards.
Guerrero, Nathan Guerrero spun around. We saw the beginning of that there at the corner of the frame while we checked in on Ian Quinn as well. And Nathan Guerrero goes out in the infield hairpin. Cade Yeager, by the way, now in the lead. Penalty flag goes up again. There'll be a lot of changes, I'd imagine, to the order. Provisionally, it's Yeager out in front in the transfer zone. Here's a look at the 56 machine of Ian Frankenberger from 28th. Jonah Good a little bit up the road there. Now 5th outside of the, or 6th, sorry, for the 133. This is 2nd through 5th on your screen. Austin Hill outside looking into the 39. Mentioned him at the beginning. Picked up 11 spots on the first lap to get to 9th. Now he's 1 spot away. As here goes Mason Kuhn to the inside of Bryce Frank for 2nd. Frank will be on the outside. Does he slip backwards outside the top 4? Hanging tough on the MGM. He'll have to give way through the kink. Try to send it back in the green turn. No. Back to 6th for Frank. Up to 7th for Ian Quinn from 42nd on the grid. Up a ton of spots with 2 to go at the line.
Yeah, this has been a huge charge from Quinn, as you would expect from somebody we've seen be a top 10 contender at times. Quinn going for a dive through shark fin, making an error pass that time, and continuing to pick off spot after spot after spot, coming up to 2 to go. But is it going to be out of time here for Quinn? Quinn's got to pass by a lot of carts, still has to pass by a couple more to get up the hill and have a chance at that transfer.
Jonah Good from 29th, Ian Quinn from 42nd, Austin Hill from 20th. Scott Clayman started on the pole. He's now looking for a way past Mason Kuhn. Told him to work together. Hill covered low for the 4th spot. He's the last one in. Jonah Good trying to go. Quinn catches him off guard. Another spot for Ian. That'll be spot number 29. Good fed a wheel into the cell tower. Frank around the outside goes wide. Bryce Frank onto the curbing. He'll lose about 7 or 8. And the drive for the 17 now slips back to the end of the top 10. We know there's going to be a lot of penalties potentially going, but here's Ian Quinn trying to race his way on Merritt. Another move. The number 79 is that 4th. It is indeed. Ian Quinn has driven through nearly the entire field in the senior medium LCQ. Now above the cut line. Jonah Good, first driver out. Side by side for Colin Evans in the 151. He'll give way, it looked like, to Jonah Good and Scott Clayman. So Clayman now back into the 6th spot. Good, first driver out. Here's Austin Hill. He wants 3rd away from Mason Kuhn. Tired of waiting. White flag. Quinn is there. And there's so many penalties that could be changing our 4 drivers to transfer. Cade Yeager, I think, didn't have too much contact on his march through the field. He should be safe. He's well and away out in front. The fight's on for 2nd. Hill covers low. Had they known the three of them had a gap back to Jonah Good, they might not be doing this, but now Quinn is going to have company starting to arrive.
Yeah, will Quinn be able to keep up here? He's in a great spot, but Good's gained a lot of ground here with Quinn getting checked up with some of the battling in front. Good's going to have to go for a bold move here in green corner scoreboard to have a shot. Already Quinn going defensive and going for the bump, but Good crossed him over side by side for the transfer.
Ian Quinn looks back, sees there's not going to be a lot of gap there. He's going to try and hang tough on the outside. He'll hang on, but he'll lose the spot. Jonah Good now into the final transfer zone, or final spot above the cut line. What can Ian Quinn do? Is this incredible drive going to go up one spot short? Final time, last turn. Here they go to the line. Cade Yeager will score the win in the LCQ. Quinn trying to mount a counterattack. It won't be there. Jonah Good steals the last spot of the final lap. And Jonah Good will go to 60th in the grand final provisionally. Mason Kuhn to third. Austin Hill second. Ian Quinn, it was boxed in. He had to cover the inside of the green corner. It left him vulnerable on the exit. And while he picks up 32 spots, he needed 33. And if nothing changes to the top four penalty-wise, he'll be the first driver outside and watching the senior main from the sidelines. A driver that, as mentioned, has led laps and has contended for wins and has won on the CKNA major stage. Ian Quinn, 5th. Scott Clayman, 6th. Ian Frankenberger, 7th. Ryan Mort, Colin Evans, Jamie Stropko, Bryce Frank, a heartbreaking fall back to 11th. Good recovery for Cameron Reed, up to 16th by the checkers. And a whole myriad of DNFs back from P28.
Jonah, you were just looking up at the screen. You're penalty free, luckily for you. I'll give you a second to get your helmet off, but what a drive for you. Last lap pass, you started 28th all the way into the transfer zone. Tell me about that race.
It feels pretty good, you know. In qualifying, we made a mistake. I tried to get a lap with the draft, never ended up getting it. So I never even got a push lap, so I was like 82nd or something in qualifying. So I raced my way through the heat. I had 2 DNFs. You know, my throttle cable snapped, and then just a lot of stuff went wrong for us, but we pulled it out in the LCQ. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy to get through.
And again, you don't seem very happy to get through. I know it's been a rough week, but how are you feeling going into this main event later on today? You got a chance to, again, put on a clean look like you just did now.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident about getting through the field. You know, just got to keep it clean, really, and try not to get any penalties. That's the key here. But, yeah, feeling pretty confident going in. Not where we want to be, obviously, but better than not racing. So, yeah.
There you go. Thank you, Jenna.
Of course.
There's still more to deliberate on for sure, folks, here from that senior medium LCQ. You saw the penalty flags waving. A whole lot of momentous drives, and it's a bittersweet feeling whether you make it or not, but it really feels more bitter altogether. 32 spots up for Ian Quinn. He crosses the line 5th. We'll have the official order as they go through. But for now, we take another break and we return towards the top of the hour. Grand final warm-ups in 11 minutes, kicking things off with Cadet. The final time to do those last-minute checks and fill out your piece to challenge for a grand finals, podium, and main event win.
Florida kart racers, you asked for it, and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
Yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and 0 sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Are you stuck with your kart racing? Not sure the ideal kart setup? Or going to a track for the first time? Well, Kart Class has the answers for you. Our online portal has a wealth of experience and knowledge to help your kart racing. From kart setup advice to track guides that are targeted specifically to your circuit, or the driver coaching aspects with mindset, racecraft and driving techniques. If you want to take your karting to the next level, visit us at kartclass.com.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion, Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to K100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
Cadets are on the racetrack, brought to you by Lawson Speed Shop, as we start the warm-up section of this morning's coverage here on Kart Chaser from the CKNA Grand Nationals here at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Justin Britz alongside Xander Clements as, oh no,
That's a lot.
That
is a lot of go-karts stuck together.
That is a parking lot to start things off, and some on top of one another. This is not how you want to start warm-up.
I'm not sure how that would have kicked off, but without a doubt, the cadets were amped up, leaving the grid, waiting as we were for the 10 minutes of quiet track time to hit the gas and get going, and a little bit too amped up, Justin. Whatever it was, that's going to bring a red flag out, indeed. First time today we bring the red flags out to the circuit. It puts a halt on our day. It puts a bit of a pause in the action. Well, apologies about that, folks. We were hoping to get to start to set the stage for grand finals with all 9 divisions, but the Lawson Speed Shop cadets with a major pileup in the horseshoe. Turn 6 and 7 on the opening lap brings their practice to a stop. Let's take a moment to get an idea of who all involved and make sure all drivers are okay. We'll come back with updates when we get them.
carts back going here for the warm-up for the grand final for cadets, the 8 to 10-year-olds. After a red flag situation, after a stack up coming through turn 5, 6, 7, 8, that complex of corners. So we are back going at the least on the track for now. See how much time these drivers are given here after the amount of time on the stoppage being about 10 minutes or so, to make sure all the drivers checked out by medical staff and make sure being taken to the ambulance was. So it looks like they will get the green flag for the session here this time by. We see where things stack up. Dusty Strayer will be the first driver on the racetrack, in fact, in this pack. Remember yesterday, things closed out strong for these competitors in cadets. Last time out in the heats, it was going to, in the end, had Dalton Sears amongst those up front, but Ruben Greer was the one who took the win over Hudson Howard. Jackson Reinholdt rounded out the top 3 in that race. Grant Heckman, Tristan Francisco were amongst the top 5 in the battles on circuit. These drivers do get 3 minutes, by the way, to get confirmation. 3 minutes total, so enough time to get about 2 or 3 laps in before we get to the checker flag. Just enough time to be able to see if everything's good on the cart, making sure that it's functioning before it gets to what will be a hot lap window at best if you were to push to that mark for these drivers. Where the times start to shuffle to begin here up on the board. Well, Dusty Strayer starts off with times the 1:17s, although it's 1:16s for many of the others, including Dalton Sears, Slade Harrell, who is expected to be an interesting one to keep an eye on here today. In the 3rd spot on the board, Howard is top, as you would expect with the speed showcase all weekend long from the 49 camp. Where things get shuffled to by the end of the day today. Cadets, remember, are set to take part at 11:50 a.m. for their respective final. Here, these drivers had some lineups adapted all throughout the day in terms of their preparations from race control. Howard did score the most points in terms of positioning with 300.99. including a straight sweep of all the heat races as a result of positions. Ruben Greer down in 3rd, Grant Heckman, someone also going to be up at the front of the field. But getting to Harrell, who we've seen be competitive all year, including in Charlotte earlier on in the year, going to be the potential possibility of one of your hard chargers, 35th starting spot. Someone in multiple different classes here, whether it's been in CKNA, whether it's been competition we've seen in Stars, whether it's been in SCUSA. Slade Harrell has been a rocket ship when it comes to this class and when it comes to this type of racing in the age group. Someone they can watch for absolutely later on today. Following along with some of the drivers battling along. That was 314 machine. 324 should rather say. In Sears still keep an eye on, who still is setting blistering lap times. Might be also someone to keep an eye on, because Sears only scored to 23rd position in the starting metric. Scored a 45, a 60, and a 78. Improved every race. Was able to at least get into a decent finishing position by the 3rd heat. But again, it's so hard if you don't qualify well to be able to position yourself in a strong position for later on today. Checker flag out on the session. Dalton Sears. And down, it's going to be Hudson Howard in the 1:14.5s over Ruben Greer, Houston Honey. Then it's Slade Harrell and Dalton Sears in the top 5 of the warm-up session. Grant Heckman 6th, Jackson Reinholdt 7th. Austin Taylor in 8th with Luke Bullpit and Liam 4 inside the top 10 in our first warm-up. So the cadets finish up their part of the sessions as they make their way to pit road. They get ready to go over to the scales and discuss things with their competitors to see what they will learn. Again, many of these drivers this age still friends with one another. No relationships for future competition, and also good chemistry for who they potentially will work with here at Newcastle. So on the carts, wait alongside trackside. Next up, the legends. In just a moment, let's see. Anyone has any words? No. We have carts immediately onto the racetrack. Very quick turnaround. These drivers were expected to take up to 8 minutes per session on the original schedule sheet before the red flag situation. So these drivers are expected to work very quickly through these sections here, going from some of the youngest to the 50 and above age category. Now, for those curious on what's expected here, Ryan Cassidy had a straight sweep yesterday to close out the heat races. The 53 kart has been tough to beat all weekend long, especially in the long run. After about 5-6 laps, kart just has been able to take off and pull away. Now one of the drivers up at the front of this group right now, that's the 806 that leads the way for now in Simon Petman, who is down in 26th position for the starting spots. 47 karts get the opportunity to roll here today. Pretty large field, to say the least, as you would expect here in CKNA competition, which means for many of these competitors, it's about, can you find your way around traffic? Well, the 806 is off the racetrack, and that is Pepin we were just talking about, taking off with a little bit of contact, able to at least rejoin coming out of the horseshoe, be able to get back going. Some of these errors in the trains, testing out what they can do here, like James Perkins. Seen Perkins earlier on this year drive in Charlotte in some late race battling in the Spring Nationals. He's able to get the edge in that respective race, battling with at least 4 other drivers in the last stages, all while one driver looks to appear to have an issue back into their kart here. Down to Scott Falcone, who was set to start in 6th, having an issue and trying to diagnose the problem here, looking back at the engine. Seems to be pointing towards where the fuel pump area is as a result of that stoppage. See if Falcone is able to get that fixed up for later on today, as they will have limited time as a result here with that issue. John O'Keefe has led the way so far in this session. By the way, a one part flying off a kart to fly off from the right front tire. Lead kart on the racetrack for a split second. Not sure what part that may have been off the 51. They still are going. But was about to say, Ryan Cassidy and Tim Schutt are right now half a second back of John O'Keefe's time so far in this warm-up. Well, these times aren't the end-all be-all, because they do have the race itself, which is the bigger priority. It's about making sure you know what needs to be fixed, what needs to be adjusted for the temperatures today, what needs to be done, if anything, before you get racing. We've seen some drivers pick up on if they're too slick and saying, do we need to adjust the PSI and the tire pressures? Anything along those lines. There's so much that can come up in this. drivers that has just shot down the board, by the way, who is not going to have the best starting positions, is going to be Todd Bolton. Bolton, mind you, yesterday had engine problems after heat 2. He confirmed down at 19th starting spot, the 22 Kart. One of the drivers to potentially see as a mover. Yesterday, one of the heats had gone, or rather on Friday, to get my dates correct, had been in a drag race back and forth with Cassidy. Cassidy was able to get the pole down the final straightaway and get the edge in the first side-by-side dragway race victory from the driver pushing behind, coming out of the final cut through down the long straightaway. Last year, it went the exact same way in the grand final between him and Cassidy in terms of just how close things got, truly, at the end of that race. Jamie MacArthur looking at still on broadcast. MacArthur, one of the drivers expected to start mid-pack here, is one of the drivers that have competed in karting associations for a long time. You look up the profile, was raced back as far as the 2010s in Masters competitions. In fact, won the Motorsports International Karting Association Honda Masters back in 2009, a long time ago, for one of the Legends drivers here. Just continuing to lead the charge around the racetrack, is also one of those that these days is someone that provides engine building, some coaching opportunities, a lot of different things, as you would expect from a karting veteran such as MacArthur. Checker flag waves this time. O'Keefe, the blue 111, stays top of the board. Don Bolton at one point hadn't taken that spot as mentioned, but Tim Schutt does move to second, very end by 3/1,000 the fastest time does end up being a 1:14.128. Tom Bolton third, Tom Barron in fourth, Ryan Cassidy in fifth of the warm-up. Then Ron Kleiss, Rob Howden proving for today. He's amongst those starting mid-pack. Also, Layetko, the Canadian, in eighth. Ron Clodard and James Insko rounding out the top 10 in the warm-up. So off the track go those carts. About to go on the racetrack is Senior Heavy. In the next couple moments or so, Senior Heavy patiently waiting for their drivers to get ready to go here. And we've seen a lot of good battles from Senior Heavy here today and throughout this weekend. But it's the Battle of the Christophers, as well as, will Owen Lloyd be able to pull off the spectacular? He's one of the drivers going for the triple in terms of class is this weekend, has been competitive in all three of them. He's been able to make some tough passes. Lloyd, mind you, has already had major success in his region out in the south, winning all three of the classes in senior competition there. One of the first drivers out, as two drivers already indicating issues. Jerry Fantry amongst those with a problem right off the rim. The other driver was Huntley Bolton, as they are working together, it looks like, building that chemistry from, well, time we've seen them work together here. They've picked up a whole choo-choo train of cars. Owen Lloyd, though, leads the full train around the racetrack here. Joined up with them right now, looks like going to be the one cart right on behind. Eric Fagan, I believe, in the order. that is working with them, who we haven't really seen much of this weekend in class. So the Coyote Racing Chassis Senior Heavies on circuit, as we just said. It's going to be difficult to be able to beat the Christophers this weekend, but we'll see who's going to get the edge. You see them training up behind Wakefield, for example, in the second pack. Wakefield earlier on this year in one of the races with Owen Lloyd, in fact, came down to a drag race going back and forth around McKeithen, should say. We're in the very end in Charlotte. Was able to get the edge on the final straightaway after they were able to get away from what was a busy pack of 4 or 5 karts early on at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Seems to be now already point away from their respective pack with speed, just like that here, with some of the various drivers just feeling themselves out here. So as we just took a look at there, it's 20 kart on circuit. That is Bajard, which we mentioned. A lot of success when it comes to his time here in CKNA competition, as Xander has mentioned before. Take a look at the gallery of champions. It's amongst those that have for years have gone into that gallery as a result of championship competition in the respective region. Just been strong in the north in the past. Been one of the main drivers that's raced for at least 4+ years for the organization. It's also been amongst the drivers who we've seen seed for a long time. Around 2015, started off with a much older kart. A lot of these categories have really transitioned over the years in terms of body model, where they almost look like cars in the past looks, into the 2010s, some of them, including in box stock competition at one point, finishing up second back years and years ago. He's also been amongst those who set several track records back in the day. First times really flying on through. McKeithen and Wakefield up in the front. James Overbeck is up to second, though. Coyote PPK 1, 2, 3 up at the top of the board. Eli Fox down in 4th for now. Ozard is down in 5th also early on in terms of lap times. Also picking up some of the other drivers. You see them working together in their packs here. 122, for example, has been working with Wakefield. That is Fox, who has been pretty crafty. He's been able to get in a top 5 run based on consistency in the heat points from this weekend. So there has been a true amount of speed showcased here from them, absolutely. So, a couple minutes to go in senior heavy for this warm-up session. As we get set to see where things finish out in the races later on today. Now joining alongside in the booth here, Nate Dean now joins here in the broadcast booth. Nate, what have your thoughts been on senior heavy here this weekend from what you've seen from your perspective?
I mean, obviously, thanks for having me, Justin. The senior classes have all been very fun to watch. They're always the most entertaining, in my opinion, but senior heavy seems to have been stepped up a notch this year. It seems like it was kind of the more chess, not checkers class compared to the other senior classes. This year seems to be a turn up to 10, even higher with the amount of battling we've been happening up front, kind of the old guard versus the new. In 2025, it's been really fun to watch. We've been talking about James Overbeck. We see him a lot in the light and medium competition and CKNA and other regionals, making the step into heavy with PPK is cool to see, in the likes of Henry Wheeler Christopher McKeithen, Christopher Wakefield, and all these big names you see throughout the karting world, whether it be a 2-cycle or 4-cycle here this weekend, is a pleasure to watch.
It's been an interesting one in terms of some of the battling absolutely here, especially with some of the Masters we also see making some overlap into this series. But James Overbeck does finish out this warm-up, it looks like, at the top of the board over McKeithen and Wakefield. Fox, Stevens inside the top 5 of the 53, had been one of the first drivers in the lineup. Eric Fagan, Owen Lloyd, then Jeff Dolian, Gabe Sessler, and Kenner Brown III gets himself a top 10 in the final warm-up for Senior Heavy. We'll talk about with the running order. With that being said, coming up to a quick break. Happy to have you with us here on Kart Chaser. We'll be back after this. More coverage of the CKNA Grand Nationals, the 9th edition, after this.
Gee, looks like we're missing the engine. What the hell am I supposed to tag?
What do you mean? It's my Greyhound. It's all I need.
Where's the rest of it?
It doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
You gotta make way. Okay, you're good.
I'm sitting by here with Kyle, our race winner. Tell me how you did it. You were blazing fast out there, and I mean, you don't even have a go-kart, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, Norberg, Schmorberg, the Greyhound-powered Greyhound was great today. You know, it makes the difference. And the team's been working really hard back at the shop, and, you know, just shout out Greyhound.
Thank you, Kyle. How the f did you just win?
Doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
You need it? We got it. At Kart Eat Parts, we are your complete online aftermarket kart part superstore. From chains to bearings to bumpers and components, we've got it in stock and ready to ship straight to your door from our base in Ontario, Canada. Check us out online at karteparts.ca.
It's time for Sportsman to be able to warm up for their grand final later on today. The Prodigy Motorsports Sportsman class. Justin Prince 19 with you here in the broadcast booth as we see where things shuffle. Will Fleischtinner had been the driver to beat in the heats yesterday. Dominic Gaddis, though, was right up with him, especially in heats 2 and 3. Those two teammates were the top two in the overall metric for the lineup for this afternoon's racing action, Nate. They're going to be tough to stop here in these races. You see them just on track amongst one of the first groups in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. The MPG Motorsports duo has been flying all weekend long, and in the state of Indiana, they always do, whether it be at CKNA competition, a Grad 66 Sprint Series, whatever series they are running here, they always seem to be at the front of the field, and how dominant of a weekend it's been for that team. Of course, Chase Jones and the rest of the MPG Motorsports squad will be happy with the races up to this point. However, there's one big one coming later on today, the grand final, that they're going to want to win. Talking about a couple other drivers that haven't seen that top step but have shined a light on their performances. Tanner Barsh, a driver we see at the Texas Sprint Racing Series at the front of those fields. Little surprising not to see him battling for the wins, or at least taking a win so far this weekend. I think him and the MSL squad will have a good piece come later this afternoon. Same with Daniel O'Gara, who always goes well in the state of Indiana on board his Top Kart machine. Watch out for him as well. But I think, Justin, the big thing that's going to go into this race is obviously it was 8 laps for all the heat races. Now a much longer grand final, especially for these kids. It's going to be difficult for them. The temperatures are expected to get hotter than they've been all weekend for these guys, so it's going to be a lot of new variables for these sportsmen.
So what would you be adjusting or working on, if anything, from a warm-up session like this? What do you pick up from the course these 6 minutes outside of maybe the PSI and tire pressures and trying to feel things out here?
I mean, it's so hard, right? Because a lot of these drivers aren't going to have their karts get into the setup window in 6 minutes during that race. So you're not really getting a very good grip at what your kart is going to be able to do in the final. Really, this is a good chance for you to get used to those low tire pressures in the opening phases of the race, and to be able to get used to that and carve your way through traffic. But for the rest of these guys that might find themselves on the top of the timing board, might not be the best thing in the world. Of course, with a short warm-up, your kart might not be well suited for a long run pace. But in terms of changes, really it just comes down to the drivers and teams that know a lot more than we do, whether the track is slicking off, whether it's gripping up. Of course, with these Vega tires, for some chassis like the OTKs or other chassis within that same stiffness or hardness range, it's a bit more difficult for some chassis manufacturers to find that operating window. So everyone's going to be going to work definitely after this session, going to be hitting the data, hitting the video review, talking to their drivers, and especially for these young guys, it's really going to come back to who can give the best feedback, who has the most experience, who can relay that to their teams and coaches.
By the way, top of the board is Blaney Thigpen. The time is a 1:14.665. Clayton Stiles is behind with a 1:14.715. Then Dominic Gaddis with a 1:14.878 in terms of the session. So, Drew Blem also up there, by the way, in the 1:14.9s, 1:15 flats for R.J. Brown. And the thing is about R.J. Brown, that yellow machine actually was basically your second or third best kart all throughout the heat races too. That 7 in the Maranello has been really crafty as well. He's not one of the drivers up at the front that we see on our screens right now in the practice at the moment, but is one of the drivers you'd have to think that is one of the plotters of the field. Seemed to be very patient with moves throughout yesterday in particular.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. From the times that I've watched RJ, he's very consistent throughout a long run, and he's always there at the very end of the race. So like we were saying, with the longer races we have for the grand finals later today, I think that's going to help him out. Currently 13th on the board, 6/10 back on his Maranello machine. Again, like we were saying with the times in these warm-up sessions, especially with how much later in the day the actual race is and how much conditions will change, both air temp and track temp, and a ton of other variables like rubber that will continuously get laid down. It's not the worst thing for him in the world. I'm sure him and his team will have a good piece later on for this race. But talk about the drivers on track here, Justin. They're really going at it like it is a grand final. It's not the worst thing in the world for them to get used to getting their elbows out, because everyone wants to win this grand final later on today.
Yeah, it's a big stepping stone and a big thing on your resume, to say the very least.
Absolutely.
To say you've won a grand final, especially when you're moving up the ranks. That's a big confidence booster, and it builds up a lot in terms of your resume for future races. Oh, one car pushed well off the racetrack. Some of these drivers are not playing nice here in the warm-up session, and some of these excursions have seen a lot of dust and marbles kicked up. Coming up to the end, Clayton Stiles does jump Thigpen with a 1:14.229. Some of the times jumping up by a few tenths of a second to end off warm-up. Will Feinsteiner is staying down in third, it looks like. Dominic Gaddis and Tanner Barnes, the top 5. The separation half a second amongst your front runners in this pack. You also have Brody McDonald, who has not had the best of finishing orders after being the Canadian champion. Chase Thixton down in 7th, who led the way in the practices before some of the action. Henrik McKay, Jerome Wickham, Hayden Lawson, a part of your top 10. Your thoughts on what you've seen here in the warm-up overall, though, as the rest of the field shows up on screen?
Yeah, I mean, drivers like Lawson, O'Gara, a couple others that swiped up on screen, they're going to be ones to look out for. Definitely come the main event, maybe not the true pace that we're seeing from them. There you can see Aston Wyatt, of course, too, 8/10 back, but like we saw all of yesterday and all of Friday, he's going to be one to look out for. 38 karts deep. And how about Daniel Dragunov as well? He was a driver that will definitely be in contention as well. No time for him. Doesn't seem like he went out that session or having transponder issues for him, so we'll get an ID on that, but we'll definitely see him later on in the day. Justin, a whole lot of drivers will be in contention for this one in Sportsman.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Dragunov, actually, if we do see him, in fact, starting 23rd estimated starting spot. to be one of your hard charges to be right there in the very end, because he did that in all 3 heats. Just a matter of 2 of the heats got involved in some incidents that pushed him back to worse finishing spots. But now the Max Tort kit cards. Now on the racetrack, the youngsters look to see where things shape up. You got to enjoy kit card because it's a good opportunity for drivers to develop and hone their skills in basically the opening runs of
the box challenge last night, utilizing that kit cart layout. So we could potentially see times drop a little bit for these youngsters here, but showing on track Vettel Baker, one of the drivers we see at the Texas Sprint Racing Series all the time. And we're going to get the chance to talk to Vettel Baker's dad, Caleb, standing on the pit lane. Caleb, what do you got for us?
Thank you there, Nate. I'm standing by here with Matthew Baker. You guys, we've seen you guys in the state of Texas over at TSRS, actually coming off a win last weekend in NOLA. But talk about it. It's y'all's first weekend, first time ever being at a national event here in karting. How has it gone for you guys? How's Vettel taken to it all?
Yeah, we kind of started off a bit slow. The rain practice didn't go very well for us, and he's learning. It's his first time at a big event like this and this many karts. I think the most he's ever raced against is probably at NOLA. I think there's 13. So he's learning a lot, and a lot of these kids he's not used to, not comfortable racing around. So it's been a bit of a struggle, but we're making some progress this weekend with them.
And talk about for you as well, right? You guys are involved over in GT3 with Top Racing. Talk about this event, right? This is massive, 560 plus entries.
Yeah.
For you guys, a lot of these kids, you've said it, right, have raced CKNA, gone through y'all's program. Tell me a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so first off, the national stuff here, this is huge, right? There's over 500 entries, I think 600 last year from what I saw, which is pretty impressive compared to our paddock where, we're probably close to 150, 200, and that's across multiple series. But then again, our rigs are a lot bigger. We take up a lot more room. So it's interesting because it feels like the paddock's smaller, but there's still a lot of people here. And then as far as the GT3 stuff goes, it's an interesting thing. We started out racing in PCA, and then we moved up from there to Sprint Challenge, Carrera Cup, and then decided it's time to hang up the helmet. And finally, we decided it's time to start bringing young talent in. And so it's what we do now, mainly. It's pretty fun watching these kids here grow, and then also in the race cars on the big circuits. So, yeah.
And talk about expectations as well this weekend for Vettel. What are you kind of telling your young driver, right? Because they're out here obviously having a good time, seeing him run around the paddock. What are you telling your driver as he gets ready for a Grand National Championship?
Well, right now, our hopes are maybe to get a podium. We thought we had higher hopes coming in. But overall, yeah, it's just have fun, learn, start to get comfortable with these other kids out there and show what he can do.
There you go. Well, thank you, man. We'll wish Vettel some good luck.
Awesome. Thank you.
Matthew Baker taking the time to speak was happy to have him and his family and all these families here this weekend at the racetrack. And it's really, I think, important to hear about his thoughts there on the development side of things, because that is a huge thing. And what has been a huge storyline as the 77, as Sean actually bumps and runs a kart for a moment, is for many of these drivers in kit kart, this is the start of the development ladder, as I was alluding to before that, speaking in the interview. And a lot of series take notice of how you do in karting to see, can you handle yourself once you get to a big car?
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the amount of race teams that you see in IndyCar, Formula One, and NASCAR take so much interest in karting. We see a lot of junior development drivers racing with us. Think of Lucas Palacio, who got signed up to the Williams Academy over in Europe, and more drivers who have been working with brands that we see over here, like Toyota, like Nitro Racing. Obviously, the couple of standouts, Brent Cruz, Connor Zilish, the two we talk about all the time, who we've seen here at CKNA competition last year. Obviously, this is a huge stepping stone. A huge stepping stone for them, for these young drivers, but for the older drivers as well, an opportunity to go out on track and show your talent and maybe something you're not too familiar with. Caleb is trackside with Diego Ramos.
Thank you, Nate. I'm standing by here with Diego. The first time you're racing on the four-cycle side of things, what's been the biggest adjustment for you this weekend? But I will say, you've kind of taken to this class like water. You were able to get a win yesterday in Heat 3.
Yeah, it's a lot different than two-stroke for sure. But yeah, I'm enjoying. Just had a really bad quali that makes the race harder. But I think we our car is really good. Our engine is fine, and we won yesterday. Got a penalty, but like it's racing. Hope today in the final I can go forward. But yeah, I'm enjoying the race. It's a lot different in two-stroke for sure, with the rules that they have here. But yeah, it's fun.
And tell me about the decision to come out here and race. I know you're here with Lucas. They actually lost the trailer keys, right? They got themselves locked out. Talk about how crazy this week's been, right? Leading up to be here apart racing as well with Kevin King.
Yeah, it has been a crazy week, but like a fun week, you know? Like they asked me if I want to do this race. In the beginning, I thought about, but I said, okay, let's do it because for sure it'll be fun. I do it if you guys do it, and then they all like say yes, and then we come all together.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Diego. Wish you good luck. Checkered flag in there, so we'll let you get ready. Thank you, Diego.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much once again to him. Omri Babcock, by the way, leading the practice session. Pool Romeo, along with Denahauer and Deshawn, your top 5. 8/10 the separation. We're taking our break. Coming up next, Senior Light, Junior, Masters, a part of the warm-up rotation next.
I'm really starting to like this go-karting thing. Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, can I show you this cute dress I just got?
Yes, of course. Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
I just love shopping.
I love shopping too.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, did you guys say you like shopping?
Of course.
Well, dude, I have the perfect place to do that at. ShopPayCarrot.com. At ShopPayCarrot.com, you can get free shipping on orders $200 or more. You can get anything you want, like MXC rims, gloves, rib vests, shoes, anything that you need, all at ShopPayCarot.com.
Who is he talking to?
No idea.
But we're gonna have to check it out. Sounds like a great deal.
Sure does.
Drivers are now on circuit for our next group. It's CKT Senior Light for their final warm-up session. Senior Light putting on some light shows earlier on today when it came to the battle just to transfer into the main event for the LCQ. Now, pressure is absolutely on for these drivers to see, can they perform today? One of the drivers we just talked about from one of the other classes, Christopher McKeithen. He was the driver who led in the point metric coming into this morning. Colin Warren also very quick among some of the front runners. But keep in mind, things could get interesting with so many big names, Nate, that are going to have to come from the mid or back pack in Senior Light alone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be, you're going to have to watch 3 different races at once for the drivers who barely squeaked their way into the drivers who are starting in the mid-pack who maybe didn't have the best of luck throughout a couple of the heats, and then the drivers up front that will be leading the charge and hopefully trying to get away, like Christopher McKeithen on screen here with PPK Coyote teammate Christopher Wakefield in tow, as it looks like one of the other Coyotes had a bit of an issue there outside of Cell Tower, but sticking on these two, class of the field so far this weekend, Justin, and it's no surprise at all to see Christopher McKeithen at the front of this field. Whether you're at a regional or a national like this, he is always the benchmark in these 206 competitions.
Yeah, he has been when it comes to speed all year long. It was one of the grouping of highlights that I actually worked upon in terms of the preparation for this, and was in multiple different classes where succeeded in senior shootout in the past. He succeeded in the springtime with the shootout with Christopher Wakefield earlier on. In the summertime, was a part of the drivers that went back and forth in Cincinnati. Everywhere, he's been there in position to pounce, and as I referred to, last month actually picked up a Canadian National Championship on top of things. So McKeithen has been on a roll all season long, in 206 style racing in terms of just how consistent he's been. But it becomes the question now, what do you do to try to adjust to try and take him out of the rhythm of being able to lead up front, because he's been making it clear he wants to be the leader and doesn't like to be in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The thing that's going to make or break a lot of these winners and these race results later today is going to be who's your drafting partner, who's your buddy on track. Obviously for McKeithen, he's got Wakefield on track with him. We know Wakefield from previous years is incredibly comfortable being that rear gunner and pushing drivers forward, so those two will definitely be a dynamic duo as racing goes on. But I mean, you got to look for chassis mates. You got to look for like the VLRs with Cale Zimmerman and Colin Warren here on screen with Cameron Reed and Shane Reddy in tow. Those two will definitely be working together to try and get themselves further up the field. In years past, we've seen Colin Warren go at it alone against the might of PPK Coyote and win numerous times. So we'll have to see if Cale Zimmerman now can aid and assist him to get further up, and if maybe we could see Zimmerman get a Grand Nats victory that he's been desperately wanting for the longest time since Sportsman.
I think in Zimmerman's case, though, it'd be one of the performances of the year, in fact,
Absolutely.
of the decade, because coming off the LCQ, you're talking 57th starting spot. That is something we've not really seen as much of. I've heard it happen before. We've heard of people going for the 40s and 50s. We've seen people like Colin Warren in some of the races go from the 40s up to the top 10 in the span of just 5-6 laps before the end of some of these heat races this weekend. But it's going to be an absolute challenge, absolutely, for Zimmerman in particular, who's in the next pack back from these competitors we're following along with, like Warren, to be able to claw their way forward. And he's had momentum in the other classes, just this one, he didn't have the luck, and he talked about that in the interviews during the week.
Yeah, absolutely. He had that moment in the cut-through earlier on Friday night, getting taken out of that, and that put him on the back foot for the rest of the weekend. The driver in front of them, they'll want to shine a little bit of a light on Shane Reddy, who's inside that top 10, going for a bit of an off, racing with a bit of an injury today, having, I believe, a bruised lung after a huge impact in the, I believe it was senior medium race last night with that huge pile-up, had Nick Sobiak's car pretty much go to the chest on him, having to go to the hospital and get checked out. So obviously hoping the best for him. And then let's talk about more drivers behind Chambers. You have Mal Hewitt behind as checkered flag is out. Treadwell leading us on the timesheets with Quinn and Ramos. Burrell Art, Steel Motorsports make it 1, 2, 3 for the time being. And Mr. Inevitable goes to the top of the timesheets there, Justin. Colin Warren by a couple hundredths.
Mr. 8 time, putting up speed in the final warm of the 1:11.8. Against some of your quickest times we've seen out of all classes. Cameron Reed up in second. Treadwell, Lloyd is always there, everywhere. Ian Quinn rounding out the top 5 in this pack. Diego Ramos in 6th, but he'll be starting around mid-pack in the race. Christopher Wakefield back into the top 10 for the starting spot, will be ahead of Keithan in the practice. Some of the other notables towards the bottom of the warm-up sheet. Jonah Good was able to edge their way in earlier on. Back in 18th, Cade Yeager down in 16th. Down the order for Cale Zimmerman, but remember, it's warm-up. All of this as well. Juniors are coming up, and Nathan Dupuis gets interrupted from his routine to be able to start up the cart. One of the drivers that was in contention for the out-of-box challenge, ready to pounce, and is amongst one of the many lined up here and getting ready to rumble off of pit road here for your juniors.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate end of the race for Nathan Dupuis last night for the out-of-the-box challenge, having a couple obstacles to overcome, obviously getting squeezed to the very inside, hitting a cone, getting that stuck in your front wheel well. Obviously, that really affected his turn-in and his ability to get that car to rotate through the cutoff. Lost him some time, went off in the shark fin as well, and that was pretty much game over for Nathan Dupuis. But what a stacked roster of juniors we have here, Justin. It seems when you go down the grid, you can pick off champions from regional, from national series, past winners of this event. It's going to be one to watch, and if the heat racing is anything to say for from this weekend, it's probably going to be one of the bangers of the year.
Yeah, it's expected to be an intense field because, mind you, a lot of drivers were very consistent amongst your top 10 the spread was about maybe 40, 45 points in terms of heat points scored. So most of the field stayed relatively close with each other in terms of the battles and didn't get as much separation per se to be able to actually take over some of those spots. So we'll have to keep an eye on how things go. But Sam Tutwiler, again, led the way in those points coming into today. 2 heat race victories. Looks like a sea of Steel Motorsports machines will indeed lead us out for this session, including the 9 machine, leading as the Pied Piper, working with Travis Pettit. And Pettit, I think, is going to be one of your favorites here today because of the momentum we've seen all season from Pettit. Was also one of the drivers who picked up one of the heat race victories, could have arguably got 2 of them in the 29 Kart.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's been really impressive for Travis Pettit. So is his 2025 campaign. Obviously, he's been on a couple chassis at the national scene throughout this year, racing with TB Kart earlier on. He was fast with them, moving to Speed Concepts and Rolson Performance Group on the OTK machinery, fast on the OTK, and now on this Stealth chassis provided by Mark Steele with Burrell Art Engineering, fast on this as well. So just how he's able to adapt to these karts, Justin, is so impressive to watch for Travis at a young stage of his career. If he makes that move up to senior, it's going to be one of the drivers to watch out for potential national championships. But in the here and now, leading the way with his Steel Motorsports teammates in lockstep with those guys, maybe getting used to working together at this point, Justin, for when that main event does come, and hopefully for them and their team moving away from the rest of the field like they are now in warm-up.
Seeing some of the drivers testing their passing ability in the heart of the field. Danico's Nathan Dupuis trying to make some inroads, all while we keep an eye on drivers like Hudson Jack Irwin, one of the hard chargers yesterday from the out-of-box challenge, and one of the drivers starting in the mid-teens. So keeping an eye on Hudson Jack Irwin. Again, has been a crafty driver that we know is fast. Yesterday in that out-of-the-box challenge, had to start from dead last. Could have won the race, but things just fell apart for him in the final few laps or so of that one. Look out! The Gold Sodi nearly spun it out. What a save that time through by Shane Smith.
Yeah, good save by Shane there. The last thing you want to do is bend up your chassis and warm up before a race that so many of these drivers have on their calendar as the race to win on the year. So a good save for him to make sure that he can keep rolling, doesn't have to go the chassis jig in between sessions. You can see, again, Nathan Dupuis there, but Hudson Jack Irwin has kind of gone under the radar a little bit. For me, at least, hasn't ruffled too many feathers, but I think that's a good thing going into a main event. When you're racing against other people and you're looking for drivers to work with you, no one's going to think back to a moment during this weekend where, you know, they don't have any bad memories from him. But not just juniors on track today, of course. Masters are up next. Caleb has a pit report down in the pit lane. Who do you got with us, Caleb?
I'm standing by here with Josh Smoker. Josh, you were a pitcher in the MLB for 13 years, and you've been racing for a year and a half, if you will, a little bit out of your element the past year and a half, but you've gotten wins. Talk about the, switch over in not only, hobbies, if you will, starting racing a year and a half ago, and what brings you to the Grands here for your first time?
So my dad's made the sprockets for go-karts here for probably about 3 years, Smoker Performance, and him and Ryan Skorowski got to be pretty good buds, and ever since I came to the track one time, and they didn't lay off me the whole time about getting in a go-kart, and probably the next 2 months it was just nonstop. You got to try it out. So I finally took the bait and jumped in and been hooked ever since.
Talk about the Happy Kart as well, the operation with Mr. Hamilton with Ryan Skorowski. What kind of attracted you to one of the new chassis, one of the innovations, if you will, of our four-cycle sport?
What they're doing is pretty incredible. They've got a huge team behind them. Hendrick Motorsports has done a lot for the chassis, a lot of research and development gone in. Happy Kart has some things that a lot of the other manufacturers don't have access to just because they don't have a NASCAR Cup team behind them. So the stuff that they're able to do is pretty amazing, and it seems like each chassis they come out with is a little bit better than the other one. So they're really doing a phenomenal job with it.
And I'm curious to ask you about your mentality as well, right? You've been a pitcher, which I think is one of the hardest positions to play in baseball, but now to come here racing, talk about the nerves. You still feel them before you get out to the racetrack? You know, talk about the mental aspect of racing.
I'll tell you one thing. There's nothing like pitching in front of 40,000 people. It teaches you to deal with a lot of stuff that comes your way in life. So, you know, being out here, it's just kind of you're by yourself. It's similar to being on the mound. You're in your own element. You know, you don't really have anything going on outside other than what you have to handle on the track. So I just try and stay aggressive, have a good time. I mean, the best thing is being out here with Dad and all my friends. You know, getting to meet some pretty incredible people. It's definitely a good experience.
And Mike, I'll bring you in here as well, right? You've been developing, but what does it mean to you now, being able to share experience like this with your son?
It's great. We get to spend a lot of time, so it's all good.
Great. Well, I'm glad you guys are having a good time. You guys are together, and we'll wish Josh some good luck. Good luck, guys.
Get Josh Smoker, one of the drivers in our next grouping of drivers coming up here. Josh Smoker, for reference, had played in the MLB, as said, with the Mets, with the Pirates, with the Tigers, among some of the various stops in his MLB career. But how are things going in the warm-up? Well, take a look at the replay here. Top right corner as a cart goes tipping over. And then they go on a slide. The driver already jumps out. It floors itself all the way off the track as the throttle hung.
It's so unusual to see, especially in gas-powered machineries. But, you know, just riding along the barrier there, a bit of Tony Hawk Pro Skater for that cold Sody, just unusual to see. Hopefully that cart is okay. They're probably going to bring that to the chassis jig just to make sure. But there is your unofficial results for warm-up for our juniors. Brady Shaw just barely peeping out Sawyer Chambers. Sam Tutwiler, Will Wilkie, Travis Pettit, your top 5. Quick commercial break before we finish up the warm-ups for our main event Sunday live here on Kart Chaser.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6.
Yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and 0 sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels. directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Paulie Massimino wins the Wisconsin Grand Prix. James Overbeck on start number 2 gets win number 1 in OKN Stars.
On track or off, Brandon Jarsekrak Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarsekrak, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarsekrakracing.com.
Back to the racetrack we go. It's time for the Masters to see if they can master the track just that extra bit more. Again, Justin Bernstein being with you for CRG Masters Warm Up as we see where things shape up for these drivers. Now, keep in mind for the Masters, busy time yesterday with a lot of the battles, and now today we'll see just how they fare out for the 15 laps, because so far Eric Fagan has been a tough driver to beat, but Mark Steele ended up coming away with the third heat victory to make things close on the metric. It came down to just over 2 points to decide who would be the pole sitter, just based on where Eric Fagan finished in the third heat of the day. You have a lot of drivers that look strong here. Nate, who stands out the most to you in this class here today?
I mean, for me, it's just got to be Mark Steele. Just a driver with so much experience. You can see waving to Jason Burgess, head flag man here at CKNA. Running second in line right now. He's a driver that even if you put him up against senior competition is able to prevail. Of course, this new chassis line for 2025, that's been a success in CKNA regional and national competition as well. So on a debut year for Mark to be able to get a win in Masters at the biggest race of their year obviously would mean so much to himself and that program.
It absolutely would be a good opportunity, absolutely here. Some of the other drivers that are up towards the front, Chris Carroll, you have AJ Catalana will start in 4th position. Ryan Cassidy amongst the top 5, for example, in the grid. One of the drivers going to be curious about is Eric Lassard, who I actually spoke a little bit with yesterday when I was going around into where a majority of the Canadian drivers are camped out. I actually bumped him by chance because I was trying to return a GoPro that had popped off one of the carts just in terms of some freak time I had. Spoke with him as I was going on and I asked him, what team are you with? And we were talking about how he was just happy to be amongst the top 10 in terms of pace, because he had been pushed off 3 times in his count over the course of 2 heat races in 1 day alone, and had felt like the kart had speed. It just he just felt very happy and very confident about the speed that it was actually able to run top 10 before those incidents.
Yeah, that's a good mindset to have, of course, with you're going to have incidents in this race. It's just the nature of the beast. If you get pushed off once or twice, then you just got to push it to the back of your head, unfortunately, for if that does happen to you in a drive. But it shows the different mentality of different levels of drivers, those who can put it to the back of their mind and just go forward, get the job done. And that's obviously what he's doing and what a lot of these drivers are going to have to do today. Of course, long main events, a lot of time for things to go right, a lot of time for things to go wrong for you as well. And it's just being prepared for what the beast has for you in this main event.
Chris Carroll leading the way, had been your unofficial RLV Fast Lap qualifier yesterday, about a day or two ago, in fact. He's one of the drivers that have won here in the past. Won back around 2023 is the count, believe, when it comes to Chris Carroll. So he is one of the drivers that looks very stellar in these runs. He's just leading this choo-choo train, but Corey Walsh just jumped to the top. Eric Falcone looking solid also in the 99 as we keep an eye on him. So many of these drivers putting together some good times to finish out the warm-ups at the very least, as you would expect here. But what's that mindset like now when you're preparing for the grand final in a race day like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's a lot of sitting around for these drivers, obviously, with how long those races are. You're waiting around for a long time for your race to finally come. You're pushing up to grid, and it's not like a normal race where you just push up to grid, you put the cart down and go. You still have the kind of mini drivers parade that you push on to the track and go from there, so the nerves just intensify from that point. But ultimately for these drivers, they're just looking forward to the point where they can put the visor down, fire the engine, get into their happy place, their zone, and do what they do best and try and compete for a race win.
Still going to be enough time for one more time around, it looks like, on the clock. As some more drivers continue to shuffle, Walsh stays on top of the board. Falcone to second. Falcone, been one of the drivers that had been having troubles punching through some of the traffic for the course of the weekend. In fact, Falcone, based on the heat points, down at 46 with the luck that had happened here. So good showcase of potential possibilities for the 99 through the pack today. They're able to consistently set that, and that's the key. You have to find consistency. You can say a lot about a hot lap time, but if you can't constantly hit that mark and then potentially constantly improve on that with the way the tires work here, that's going to be making it a lot harder of a job to get the job well complete here this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's like, especially with the Brakes 206 package here, with the pack racing you find here at Newcastle, you can't afford those small mistakes. If you do, you might get passed or freight trained on the inside and lose all of the work that you've spent so hard, not only all of that race, but all weekend long, going all the way back to qualifying on Friday. All that hard work essentially can get thrown away with one mistake here in these grand finals. These drivers have to be so inch perfect. This checkered flag falls on the Masters warm-up here on this beautiful Sunday here in Spiceland, Indiana at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Justin, times are fairly close within that top 10 as the rest of the field starting to make their way across the line.
Yeah, within 0.3 of a second, in fact, is that separation. Some drivers, as you can tell, on the bottom of the pylon didn't make their way out, but Corey Walsh, Eric Fagan, and Sean Meyer amongst those who did make their way out within about 8 100ths is the word I was looking for. Scott Falcone, then David Galoni of the top 5. We'll take another quick break. Senior Medium going out for the final warm-up before we go to the grand finals. Stay tuned. You're watching Kart Chaser.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Florida Kart Racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
And for one last time, it's time for some warm-ups. Justin, Brent, Nate Dean with you here on Kart Chaser, here for the CKNA Grand Nationals 9. A massive field of carts ready to see where things stack up. 61 is the estimated starter total here today for the senior mediums, brought to by Steel Motorsports. This is a massive field, Nate. The amount of talent here is stacked. The amount of storylines is high. It's going to be hard to be able to come away with the victory in 2025 in this class.
Absolutely, a mix of 2-cycle and 4-cycle talent, all on one track here at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Kelvin Zing will lead them to green in this warm-up. So many of these drivers within contention here to get a race victory today. Justin, seems like wherever you look, you have regional, national race winners, champions. You have champions at the highest level of two-stroke racing as well in here, with Kyle Wick racing, obviously getting that championship in Pro Shifter. Now coming and racing the Briggs 206 package. It's been a bit of a struggle for him at the start of the races, but then figured it out towards the end and towards now in the past couple of heat races. Sending it back pit side with Caleb Viesco with the report.
Thank you, Nate. So I got a couple of quick updates, especially after the last chance qualifiers. Jonah Good, who had qualified after finishing 4th, had a post-race penalty. He is going to be out and not in this main event. Ian Frankenberger in the 56 is in. Scott Clayman, Mason Kuhn. Those are the 3 drivers that made it in, as well as a couple of more. But this morning I've been walking around talking to a couple of drivers, like the likes of Colin Warren, who's won at this event 8 times. And again, he was talking a lot about the track conditions and how they're expecting them to change, because right now in the morning it's only 11:04 a.m. The next time they're going to hit the racetrack for senior medium specifically is going to be 4:10 p.m. all the way at the end of the run order. That's where I think you're going to see a lot of the drivers with advantages, those running senior heavy, senior light, experiencing how this track is going to change. But for the most part, they're expecting it to stay gripped up. I'll send that back over to you guys.
Interesting points there, and it's definitely interesting. You mentioned some of the drivers not moving on there, absolutely, with some of the points and the penalties that popped up here as a result of things. So that will shuffle who will be amongst the starters, all while some of the drivers shuffle in the lines here. We'll say Dylan Munson put together a surprising effort for some. He is at the top of the board when it comes to the total qualifying points. He picked up a couple official heat victories for the metric, and that 136 was able to pick up the pieces a lot of times from attrition that built up. I know on social media was keep an eye on that after some of the races. A lot of fans like to see that for the 136.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a weekend to remember so far for Dylan, and obviously to get that Grand Nationals win would be the icing on the cake for Dylan Munson and that crew. But of course, a lot of other drivers like Henry Wheeler there, who just had a bit of an off on the exit of the cut through, wanting to take that away from Dylan and the rest of the field, who seem like they have a ton of pace and to go try and challenge for it, like Colin Warren at the front of the field in terms of times. Eli Fox, Owen Lloyd in there as well. The 2 MGMs running in lockstep in 2nd and 3rd. Be watching out for those as you see them on screen. And just behind him, the MPG Motorsports driver of Austin Knowles, who hasn't had the weekend that he would have wanted up to this point. There you see James Overbeck, Jerry Fandry. More drivers will be looking out for to potentially get race wins. Justin, it seems like wherever we look on track, there's a couple of drivers you think they have a serious shot to be able to get a race win here.
Absolutely, and this is going to be a tough field, to say the very least, for a lot of people. Colin Warren, I'm curious about, of course, in terms of the expectations. Once again, Gabe Sessler right now amongst the top 10. Keeping an eye on him, for example, going to be one of the drivers. How to work from 36, for example. But the point I was going to make, if we want to see Colin Warren break through again and pick up another senior year. Last year, he had a handshake on the way to getting the race win. How much confidence does that say in respect for your opponent? But also, he's just been fast all year long. He's going to be one of the tough drivers to potentially charge through, because he did that in a couple of heat races while having that issue at the start of the weekend while running up front with some contact. Now the tough thing's going to be, can he do it in race conditions here today with double the time to be able to move forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, he's always a driver to look out for, even if he's maybe not there on time, if he's even outside that top 10 on the timesheets. He's a driver to look out for. He just has that mentality of live to fight another day, to stay alive on track and to be there in the final couple of moments. And that's what we've seen from him throughout 2025 at the CKNA Nationals that we covered. It's what we saw last year as well from Colin Warren. This time, though, 2 Warrens up front. Eli Warren, that Steel Motorsports machine, going fastest right now. They've both been working very well together, and I think that's something that Colin Warren is going to enjoy because he hasn't really had a dancing partner at the front of these fields in the past couple of years. His checkered flag is out, and of course, Colin Warren going P1.
And Eli Warren amongst those up front. Well, that was until Christopher McKeithen, one of the inevitable drivers, wearing the classes here this weekend, up to second. Warren. Jerry Fandry jumps up to 4th. Munson down in 5th. Zerbs, Jan Januzzi, Fox, and along with the top 10, the 328 machine, Nicholas Capolongo, down there as well. 4 of the top 10 PPK Coyote machinery. So overall, what are your thoughts on what you expect from the grand finals in general, as we've now completed our warm-ups and we're less than 25 minutes away from our scheduled start time?
Excited. So excited. It's going to be an afternoon full of intense wheel-to-wheel action. Of course, the runs to the line are going to be epic as well. Last year and the years before, it was hard to find a finish that was separated by more than 1/10 of a second. It seems like it was always a side-by-side battle to the line. So, like we were saying in that session, you just got to make it to the very end, of course. And another thing to look out for, all the drivers that are making their way up the field that had bad luck in the heat races or had to fight their way from the LCQ, to see what they can do. And if we could see maybe a couple drivers come from the back of the field to on the podium.
It's going to be an interesting time coming up here, but at this point, it's just about time to get ready for things for the grand finals the next few moments or so. Again, that will be behind the paywall coming up. We'll take a break. You're watching Kart Chaser here from Newcastle.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all of the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
races. You asked for it, and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.